Yes, folks, welcome back to MoDXtra Games and Collectibles. It's time for another action figure review. And as you can see on the screen in front of you right now, today's installment is going to be all about the G.I. Joe Classified Series Tripwire, M.A.C.L.E.O.D and Apsara triple pack? I don't think it actually counts as a triple pack, but there we go. Yeah, we're going to be kicking off sharing the unboxing, so I'll go back in time and give you the live unboxing as it happens in the moment, and then I'll move on to the review section where I'll talk about the aesthetics, the articulation, the accessories, and all the added value with the figure. And it's my hope that if you're thinking about picking up a tripwire of your own, that my thoughts, my review today, my critique of the figure will help you make your mind up as to whether this is one for you. So let's not dilly-dally around. Let's travel back in time and let's take a look at the unboxing. Hey folks, future editing Chris here, and to those who are regular around these parts and enjoy sharing the unboxing experience with me, I'm sorry to report that due to a file mislabeling external hard drive clearing incident, I have lost the footage of me unboxing Tripwire for the very first time. I'm sorry, I apologise to my regulars, to my committed community of viewers here who enjoy watching the unboxing section. So I'll just do a very quick fill-in piece around the packaging. Standard G.I. Joe Classified Series packaging, digital render in the centre, cutaway in the corner, artwork down the side, the logo, the name of the figure, the bluey black kind of frame thing going on there. Digital renders are awesome. There's little Apsara looking cute as buttons. That same style of painted artwork that we've seen on most of the recent packaging now, although I seem to recall that I observed that his pistol looks a little bit out of proportions in a weird way. The perspective on that's funny, isn't it? This thing up here in the pictures confounded me. Is that like a piece of accessory that should have been included or isn't? Or is there a way I'm supposed to combine one of these mines with another piece somewhere to make that thing? I don't know, but it's there on the picture nonetheless. Then on the back we can see he's number 78 in the line. He's just short of 6.2 inches tall, according to this little measuring stick up the left-hand side. Digital render of the figure and accessories. A few focal breakaway windows here to show off the paint applications on his shoulder pad and his very special helmet. All the legal bollocks and malarkey across the bottom. And then, of course, the data card. Holy shit, why has it only just occurred to me now to zoom in on that data card with my camera? Look how clear that is! Such a moron. Anyway, here's the data card. Interesting information. Looks like Tripwire is a fisherman too. Loves to hang out with tunnel rat. A bit of catch and release there. That's the fish being thrown back into the water. We've got a golf club here, so he obviously likes to spend his weekends on the fairways. This looks like, I don't know, like a little Christmas package or something. Oh, I know what it is. It's a wrapped present, because as we well know, Tripwire is an extremely generous individual, and he likes to buy all his fellow Joes special gifts, especially around the holiday season. And then finally, we've got a little fish being thrown back into the water with a line through it, which means that when he's not with tunnel rat, he doesn't catch and release, likes to keep the fish for himself, make a nice bit of dinner, bit of fried fish for his dinner. So there we go, there's Tripwire's data card. Big piece of the artwork up the side, and then the number 78 again on this side. QR code and whatever this is, repeat of the data card and stuff on this side, which incidentally, if anyone's interested, I tested it again. Once you go through to the, whatever it is, play and experiences, there's a whole thing about Transformers bots. So still yet to take us to anything G.I. Joe related, but there we are. All right, so that's the packaging rundown. Not quite as exciting as the live unboxing experience, but as I say, I lost the recording. Let's now take a closer look at Tripwire himself. All right then, folks, well, let's talk about how he looks. Let's do the aesthetics first. And here is Tripwire as he comes out of the box. He comes without the helmet, but he's got his bomb sweeping gear on as you first unpack him. Obviously, you get the bomb disposal uniform as a set of accessories that we'll look at later. He makes for a very visually striking figure right out the gate. If for no other reason, I suppose, then he has a very specific function within the Joe unit that we don't have represented through any other character, and all this kind of extra bulk and padding, and it's just very visually interesting and very striking. He stands apart from the crowd, even though the colour scheme is, as far as the palette's concerned, is quite a blend in amongst the sort of display, within the collection. So yeah, it's a great figure just in terms of shelf presence right out the gate because of his bomb searching gear. or if you prefer his bomb disposal gear that we'll look at in a minute. Bringing him a bit nearer the camera, we can inspect some of these visual elements in finer detail, and let's talk about the head sculpt. That's something that I usually like to focus on with G.I. Joe Classified series. It's often an element of the figures I'm a big fan of. But with Tripwire, there's something about the head sculpt that doesn't quite sit right with me, and I can't entirely put my finger on why. I think it might be because, I don't know, are his eyes a bit bigger and a bit wider and more vividly painted than they usually are, and therefore they stand out in a bit of a strange way? I can't quite put my finger on it, but I think that might be what it is. Now, a little later on when we get into accessories, you'll come to realise, as I have, that the head sculpt is neither here nor there, and I suspect it's been sculpted and shaped like this to suit the practical need of placing the helmets on the head. And also, I think it'd be fair to say that fundamentally there's nothing wrong with his head sculpt. Great facial features, good paint applications on the lips, the eyes, the eyebrows. The hair sculpt is decent, you know, although it could afford to have a bit of a wash, as I always say, with the hair sculpt. He's got a little bit of rosiness in the cheeks as well. A bit hot under all that gear, you know, which is a nice little touch. Well, I'm assuming it was intentional, but if it isn't, then that's where my headcanon's going with it. So, yeah, fundamentally, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm just wondering if his eyes are a bit big, and therefore it's making things look a little bit strange and uncanny and disproportionate. Loads of other great stuff going on, though. Look at all the sculpted detail on his bomb vest there. All the pouches and straps across the front. Little bit of paint application here on the bomb vest too, where there's like a little kind of tightening strap belt type thing. Got the groin protection, very important. That sculpting quality is continued across all the protective gear, like the shoulder pads and the thigh pads and his gloves and this little kind of gauntlet section here. All really awesome. Got his knee pads as well. Tripwire spends a lot of time on his knees, obviously. Disposing mines, folks. Get your head out the gutter, geez. And then a pretty standard boot sculpt, but again, loads of texture, little folds and creases. Same with the bits of uniform underneath all this gear. In fact, let's take this off because this is removable. And this is what Tripwire looks like with his vest off. So you can see the fabric textures and the details that are sculpted in this section that you'll largely never see. If you're like me, you're only ever going to have him on the shelf with one of his two bomb vests on. Detail in the belt there with some paint applications on the buckle and these two little carabiners hanging down there. So yeah, loads of lovely kind of texture. Suffers a little bit from the shiny shirt syndrome, which has been a bit of a concern of mine with G.I. Joe Classified for a while. I prefer a better match with the limbs, but there you go. Again, that'll be covered up, so I don't suppose it matters largely. And then like little bits there, see the zip going up on the neck, up onto his little neck a bit there, so that's all lovely jubbly. Very nice indeed. Had a little bit of an articulation QC issue, which caused this little visual eyesore here. I don't know if you can see that very well on the camera. Sticking out, so the mold was a little bit high on the joint here on the lower part of the knee, and after heating it, maybe I've overheated it, I can't rule that out, but after heating it in order to get the full range of motion, you can see it's caused this little kind of folding thing going there. I'm not showing it very well on the camera, but there's just a little bit of an eyesore on the back here with some stress marks, and it's kind of bunched up, but you know, I was going to say it's fine. It's not fine, but it's not really all that bothersome. It's not bothered me all that much, especially because I'm looking at him from the front more often than not. Got a little paint application on the shoulder pad there. That's one of the highlighted features on the back of the package, so I ought to point that out. The vest comes on and off with these little pop studs here on either side with the punch holes on the back edge of the vest there. This is the same on both sides and with both vests. We'll have a look at the other one in a minute. I'm usually quite critical of these as a design element on action figures, but these are all right. They're pretty sturdy. The pegs are firm, you know, and with a little bit of pressure, they press into the punched holes quite nicely. So not a massive amount of concern there. Bring it up over the head like so, and then let's just move his arm back so you can see what I'm doing. And you just sort of press in with a little bit of pressure there. You feel like a little bit of resistance when the peg goes all the way in. Do the same on both sides. And he's back to minesweeping mode. Colour scheme's alright. It's dark grey, light grey on top of a military style green. It works, he's fine. He's a bomb disposal dude who works for the army. So he looks like he's a bomb disposal dude who works for the army. The paint choices around the different greys are quite nice. They like symmetry with G.I. Joe Classified. The symmetry is present here. Frames up the figure nicely. No criticisms about the colour, but nor am I especially blown away. It just is what it is. The colour of his hair looks a little bit animated-y, you know what I mean, a little bit cartoony. It doesn't seem as natural as some of the other hair colours that we've seen in the past, but as I said earlier, you're largely never going to see that because the helmet's on him. So, an aesthetic thumbs up from me, definitely. Aside from just that weird uncanniness around his head, everything looks great, everything feels great, very happy with the visual experience of the figure, and I can see him fitting in great for photographers, for shelf displayers, for people who like to mess around with dioramas, etc, etc. And he's got a great narrative plaything going on as well, so all good on every front of what I'm looking for from the visual experience, from the aesthetic experience with the figure. Let's now take a look at his articulation. Okay, folks, I'm going to get it out right up top because I think we all had the same question with regards to Tripwire. The articulation is standard G.I. Joe Classified series articulation, and we're all wondering how well does he move with all this gear and padding and stuff, and I'm pleased to report that he moves pretty well within reason. Obviously, the chest piece, the vests, and the helmet and neck pieces restrict movement in the neck, the head, the diaphragm, the waist, etc, etc. But overall, he's pretty good. He's actually quite flexible, even when you got all this stuff on. So if you're a photographer looking to pose him up in interesting ways and take pictures, you can do so. Head's all right. It's the ball at the top of the net there. You can get fairly decent down, fairly decent up. You can do the full 360 X assist, and you can tilt and swivel. You know, got good range of motion in there. With one of the two helmets, that's not at all restricted. With one of the two, it is. Down into the shoulders, we've got the butterfly joint giving a little bit of shuffle all the way around, 360 with the arms at the shoulder there. And then the hinge giving you the T shape, and as you can see, these shoulder pads tuck quite neatly over the top of the vest, therefore not restricting that range of movement. You've got swivel in there at the top of the bicep and tricep, although everything's moving together there right now, but it is there, trust me, I've done stuff with him. Pinless double elbow getting you up to there. Little side note, very stiff, incredibly stiff in the elbows and the knees. A lot of heating, a lot of manipulating to get them to a movable state out of the packet. Standard G.I. Joe hand as well, with the pin going into the wrist, giving you full 360, and then both hands, the left and the right, have got the hinge going up and down like so. There's the cut across the diaphragm there. There's enough kind of space and room for movement inside the vest that you can get a bit of crunch forward with that, although it does bunch the vest up a bit across the front there. Obviously, with it off, that's a massive amount of movement. And then the swivel the ball in the hip, giving you a good bit of swivel. And again, the vest doesn't obstruct that one bit. Standard G.I. Joe Classified drop-down joint in the groin there, giving you a decent range of motion with the legs. Not a great set of splits on Tripwire, though. He ain't going to make no Russian ballerina, this guy, is he? Thigh cut there at the top, giving you a swivel in that area there. It's you probably can't see it very well because it runs along the line of this strap on this thigh guard, but it's definitely there. Pinless double knee, getting you all the way up to there. These were, like the elbows, incredibly stiff. Took a lot of heating and manipulating, and I've already shown you what one of the consequences of that was here at the back of the leg. Boot cut at the top of the boot with some swivel. And then the hinge and rocker in the ankle. So it's no surprise to anyone who is a regular around these parts that I'm a big fan of the G.I. Joe Classified Series Articulation Scheme. Lots of opportunity, the art of possibility with regards to how you can pose and articulate this guy for whatever your needs are, whether you're shelf displaying, whether you're man-child play timing on the living room carpet, whether you're taking photos or setting up really cool dioramas. He's got loads of options. And of course, again, I'll reiterate, a lovely narrative storytelling element to this figure, which the articulation supports. However, I'm going middlish on the articulation thumbs up based on my personal experience around the QC. The joints were incredibly bad. The elbows, the knees, and the neck in particular took a lot of work to get them to where I wanted them to, and they were extremely anxiety-inducing outside the packet, which kind of marred the experience a little bit, you know, when you get your brand new toy and you want to play with it straight away. So actually nothing wrong with the articulation scheme at all. Hopefully, that is just an experience that's unique to mine off the production line, and you won't experience the same. Okay, right, let's get into this raft of goodies with regards to the accessories, shall we? Getting started then, we've got the headgear that goes with this Minesweeper bomb search kind of version layer of protection. We've got the helmet and the neck guard. Getting started with the helmet, I'm quite keen on this actually. Nice detail in it there. You can see all the studs and the sculpted design of the headset, the earpiece, the different colour on the glasses and the paint application across the headset and the chin strap. It's kind of rubbery and loose, which obviously helps with the getting it over the top of the head sculpt and the hair to make it fit. And then the neck guard, again, has got a few sculpted details in there as well to just give it some texture and bring it to life a little bit. The neck guard slides over like so. You just slide that over the top there, just kind of place it on. There's a bit of a fidget and a fiddle to get it to work with the chin strap, but if you kind of do it from the back to the front like so, then get the chin strap over his chin, straighten it up, and there we go. We've got a serious meaning business ready to search for mines tripwire in action. Which, of course, then leads us neatly into his minesweeping gear. We've got this backpack and this handheld minesweeper there. You can see it's attached by a hose to the backpack. Let's just pop that off for a second. Little peg for attaching it on. Two different colours on the single moulded piece of plastic there. Lots of nice little textured details to bring it to life. You can see there on this little bit of piping there. Got the texture in there, and the handle here, a little arm guard there, and you can see the buttons on the top, the thumb space on the joystick there. And then here's the backpack. Nice to see the paint applications, two different colours, the green and grey again. Got this hose, which actually is completely removable. I've just got it plugged in right now with the panel at the top. Is that the bit that beeps? It tells you when he's near a mine. Speaking of mines, we've got one installed inside the backpack there, and then one that comes loose. These mines come with a little peg on the back of them. If I turn it towards the camera, there you go, Chris. Which I've already pegged in there, and because I'm a prolific nail biter, I can't get that back out again. I've had a look around. I can't see any way at all to store this second mine anywhere. If anyone's got any suggestions as to what to do with that. But because of the peg, it doesn't lie flat on the ground either as like a little display piece, so that's a bit annoying. But the backpack is lovely. Look at the backpack with all those sculpted details in there, the pouches, that little grill at the bottom and stuff, and then the hose, as you saw before, plugs in like so. There's a little clip on the side for the storage of the handheld minesweeper. I tend to clip it on with the thicker section at the bottom there because it just holds a bit better. Get in focus, there you go. You can see, because if you clip it into the main arm, it's just a bit loosey-goosey, and then it fits onto his back with the standard peg and peg hole, like so. There you go. Then we have M.A.C.L.E.O.D, the little bomb disposal robot. M.A.C.L.E.Od's okay, he's decent, I suppose. A couple of points of articulation in the arm. There's a swivel at the base here, and then a hinge forward, and then a hinge in the middle of the arm there with the little grippy section at the top. Little splash of colour. There's a few little red dots on the front there, but everything else is in this plain grey moulded plastic. No movement on the tracks. Seems a bit of a shame not to have a point of articulation there, but as far as I can tell, that's just glued on. But it's well sculpted and it does the trick. There's the remote control, looks fine. Got a couple of like joystick controls, a few buttons, a couple of aerials, single moulded piece of plastic. It's a decent size to fit in his hands. Yeah, it's all right, that. Then we have arguably the main star of the show, Apsara, the little bomb hunting rat. Nice little sculpt there, like the paint job with the darker brown fur going down into the lighter colour fur on the end of the legs and the paws. The little black eyes have been painted. Paint applications inside the ears there, look, that's really sweet. And then his little strap across his shoulders, little flexible tail. No points of articulation, but there's definitely a sense of texture and life in there with one paw raised. Again, it's just a nice little touch, cute little piece of storytelling to help those out who like to take photos and make little fun displays. One last little piece I'll do before I do the full costume change is the pistol here. This looks like a Colt 1911 type pistol. Again, single moulded piece of plastic, nice details. I like the texture in the grip there, for example, and you can see the chamber and stuff. Not so flimsy, quite a firm piece of weaponry. Seen some flimsy weaponry, haven't we, lately? But that's all right, that's decent. And that is stored on his person in his thigh holster, which is just there on his leg. There we go. Okay, now then, what Tripwire has his whole costume change. He's got bomb sweeping and searching gear, but then he's also got bomb disposal, his full, like, you know, EOD kind of kit here with the helmet, the neck guard, and the larger, thicker, more padded torso protection. Now, these work the same as the other pieces, so the neck guard slides over the top of the head, the helmet slides over the top of the head, and that pegs in, you can see there, with the holes and the studs round the side. So the whole process of changing these out is exactly the same as the ones that are running right now. So I'll pop these on for you to take a peek. And there you go, folks. There's Tripwire in his full bomb disposal, thicker protective gear. So you can see the bulk has increased a great deal. Obviously, I mentioned earlier when I was talking about articulation, that's going to be vastly reduced with this helmet on him and this neck guard. And same again with the shoulders. They don't quite... well, they're not too bad, actually, but... yeah, it's a little much more restrictive. You can see he's got the peg hole in the back, so you can still pop the backpack on while he's in this gear. Which is fine, which is nice. You can kit him out. My only criticism of this outfit is this neck guard's a bit loose, a bit wobbly. It takes a little bit of fidget and fuss to kind of place it nicely, because there's no way of actually kind of fixing it to the uniform, you know, keeping it in place. It's just a loose piece over the top. Or if there is, this idiot here has not managed to figure it out, and I welcome any comments who can educate me on that. So yeah, there we go. There he is in his full gear. So... obviously, a thumbs up on the accessory selection with Tripwire here. Well implemented stuff, I feel. Aside from a few minor criticisms, it tends to be okay. It's quick, it's easy, it's not an onerous task to switch him out to his different gear. All on theme and all play nicely into your narrative storytelling with the figure. I'm probably going to stick to the lighter gear, the bomb searching rather than the bomb disposing kind of look and feel of the figure, just for preference. But I like the fact that the accessories open up an increased range of possibilities with how you can display him, how you can photograph him, etc, etc. So definitely a thumbs up on that front. Loads of good value. So that brings us to the close of accessories, bro. Okay, folks, here is a quick figure comparison of Tripwire with Sergeant Slaughter, so you can see the difference in the size and shape of the two books there. Here's Tripwire with Rock and Roll, just, you know, getting a helping hand. Think I see one over here, Chief. Have a look over there, Tripwire. And here is Tripwire with Firefly, which serves several purposes, because firstly, I always like to throw a Cobra in, someone from the other side of the display. Secondly, I believe these two are kind of the two sides of the same piece of sort of explosive ordnance combat there. And thirdly, that's a new figure. I want to show it off and let you know that the review's coming soon, so subscribe! Okay, folks, well, here is Tripwire going around on the turntable now in the kind of pose that I've mostly been playing around with. I really want to lean into the narrative of the character, you know, that specific function that he fulfills in the G.I. Joe team as a, you know, a bomb detection and disposal specialist, and that's what I'm doing, especially with all the accessories that lean into that a great deal. So it's there or thereabouts, something like this. I've been having lots of fun pairing him up with other Joes like I did with Rock and Roll before, all looking a bit sheepish and frightened, and he's, you know, stepping forward, taking care of business. So yeah, overall, very, very happy with the figure. Great shelf presence, great accessory selection, really decent just personality to the whole thing. I've mentioned that he's got a specialist function. Great to have that in the range of options that are available with G.I. Joe. Just an all-round solid figure. I did have my specific one, had quite a bit of QC in the joint articulation, QC concerns in the joint articulation, which is obviously not great. I'm fingers crossed and hoping for you, dear viewer, that you don't experience the same. I think mine was just hopefully a fluke off the production line. So that's that. So there we go. Yeah, it's recommends, definitely. If you're into G.I. Joe, if you're into good accessory selections, if you're into G.I. Joe for storytelling, then this is your guy. No question about it, you know. It's an awesome figure. Okay, well, that brings me to the close then. So thank you so very much for spending the time with me on my channel today. There's a bazillion other channels, and you chose to watch my review. And for that, I am very, very grateful. Don't forget, if you have found this useful, then make sure you hit the subscribe button. There's like 75% of you out there don't subscribe to the channel. So it takes you just a minute, but it means ever so much to me. So make this aging man-child happy and click the subscribe button. It just fills my life with joy. So do it to bring me some joy. Hit the like, and if you want to help out a little bit, hit the super thanks or the join or all that other YouTubey stuff. I'm really crap at this bit at the end. And if you fancy another one, stick around. There's going to be a recommendation just for you. The YouTube algorithm thinks that you should watch, so you should maybe stick around and check that out too. Yeah, brill. There we are. Got to work on your endings, Chris. Okay, thanks very much. See you later, folks. Bye-bye.